So purpose why we have this reptile house is that way we can educate students at the beginning of each phase, the different species, non-venomous, venomous, and invasive species they may or may not encounter here in the Florida Phasal Ranger School. So your pygmy, they have obviously what we call little man syndrome. These guys are very aggressive, and a lot of times like people just see them for their size and they think they're not venomous or anything like that. They don't really see them as a rattlesnake because they don't really have a rattle at all because they're so tiny. So a lot of times people will just get bit by these things trying to play with them and they end up losing a finger or a toe or something like that. Yeah, I don't want to get bit. I don't want to lose a finger today. So like these guys right here, they pack hemotoxin just like most venomous snakes. So hemotoxins destroy your red blood cells and also shuts down your organs. But these guys right here won't kill you. But that is your pygmy rattlesnake. These guys are our water moccasins. We typically find these guys around rivers, lakes, ponds, and all that other good stuff. And they're also called cottonmouths because whenever they open up their mouths, it looks like it's packed full of cotton like you would after you got your wisdom teeth pulled. They're very fast when it comes to striking, and these guys pack hemotoxin as well. This right here is one of our timber rattlesnakes that we have, and her name is Mama. So your timber rattlesnake also packs hemotoxin, and these guys are all pit vipers, and they are also ambush predators. So what they'll do is they'll typically pick up a game trail, and they'll sit on that game trail and wait till like that mouse or that tiny little rabbit comes around, and they'll just wait for like hours until it comes around and takes it. What we also have here is our gators as well, and that's our final part of the show. So with the American alligator, males can get up to 10 to 12 feet, and females can get up to 7 to 9 feet, and they can get up to 1,000 pounds max. A full-size gator can bite up to with 2,500 pounds of pressure. So that is 2 times greater than a great white shark of the same size. So if a gator is 12 feet long and a great white shark's 12 feet long, then that alligator is going to have a stronger bite force than that great white shark. So gators can't show affection or anything like that, like most animals do. So it doesn't really matter how much nose scratches or how much attention we give these guys. They'll still, if they still want to and they want to be aggressive, they can still hurt us pretty bad and get a hold of us. So the only time they'll ever get really aggressive with the human is if they have a nest nearby, or if you're aggravating it already enough as it is or getting into its space. Just leave them alone and they'll leave you alone.
My country takes me to further, faster, unarmed and other soldiers. Never shall fail my comrade. Always keep myself mentally alert. Physically strong, morally straight. I'll show the blood my chance attack. Whatever it may be, 100%, then so. Now that I show the world, that I'm specialist like the well-trained soldier. My courtesies for your arms, needed some dress, care of equipment. You'll set the example for others to follow. And take them, I mean, get into my country. I shall defeat them on the field now, or I'm better trained. I will fight with all my might. Training is not a ranger work. I will never leave a fallen comrade. Fall into the hands of the enemy. There are no circumstances will I ever embarrass my country. I don't understand. And as the war to the heart, my heart of ranger deck. Make a weak division. Lord me those blood. Raise me the way.
As we were driving Camp Rudder, I didn't see one hill. And that was the best thing I've ever seen. Oh my gosh, I was so sick of the hills and the mountains.
And then stepping off that bus, literally looking out, and you could actually see within like 100 meters away from you without seeing this was amazing. Honestly, like you could see everything. It was just flat. That's literally all we talked about. Like, yo, this is flat, dog. Like, what is going on? Some Minecraft shit or something.
You go through your reptiles class, you're excited for the boat movements, but immediately they go 100 miles an hour, and a lot of people really weren't ready for that.
We receive the students from 5th Ranger Training Battalion, and we immediately start our Techniques Week. Techniques Week is a 5-day window of which we are teaching our students ambush, raid, movement to contact.
Hey, building's clear! Building 2 clear!
The standard small unit tactics taught at each of the other phases, but we are teaching them specifically how do you execute that in this coastal environment that is Florida.
Assault 1, we're gonna bound up these trees right here. Let's work on getting our guys online. The Assault 2's on that other side, so I want my Alpha team here.
You hit the ground running 100%, knowing that this was hopefully the last phase you to go through, so let's just finish strong.
RAID is important because there's a few different types of missions that the Ranger students are going to be conducting. They usually conduct movement contacts, raids, and ambush. And so since RAID is one of those cornerstone mission sets that they have to do, we want to make sure that they're training to standard. So then when they get to the FTX, they know what to expect. We identified a few issues with their RAID, including direct fire control measures, key leader placement, and just violence of action. So that's what we're really looking for this iteration of RAID.
Ranger students tend to overcomplicate these things by moving too quickly and not executing control. So today Alpha Company is doing command-directed training. So what this platoon in particular is doing is we broke the platoon up into 3 smaller sections. One section is learning about direct fire control measures. One is learning about post-assault procedures, and the other is learning about machine gun emplacement.
They go over all the basic stuff, ambush, raid, patrol-based stuff. What their emphasis is more on, these are the differences that we want to see in Florida versus what you've learned in mountains and Darby. They did a really good job emphasizing what to focus on and what things you can cut out that aren't necessarily required that we learned in previous phases. And they give you a lot of time to develop SOPs, because that really became the bread and butter of how the patrols went, was what your platoon decided they were going to do for ORP establishment, for patrol-based activities, all those kind of little things. They give you a lot of freedom.
The next day, we'll start the day with mission planning. So you get a class on mission planning, which you should have already received in mountains, but it's just another way of making sure that everyone's on the same page, because people fall asleep during classes all the time.
Florida for me, because I've been, up until this point, gonna go 62-3. It was definitely the fatigue. It started to catch up for me initially. I could tell that I wasn't as mentally focused. I was definitely physically weaker, noticeably. A lot of it was because I've been carrying machine guns, that kind of thing, a lot in mountains, so I definitely lost a lot of muscle, weight, that kind of thing.
We have 5 Mile Road, and that can be used as a...
Under the watchful eye of the Ranger instructors, the students refine their mission briefing skills. While it isn't glamorous, this critical step in the planning process will set the stage for their success, or failure, when they step out on patrol. Getting these repetitions in now, while they are well fed and rested, will help develop the muscle memory required for them to perform when they are both sleep deprived and hungry.
Myself and Cap Batley are gonna kind of tag team it to fix some things that we noticed, all right? For starters, talking about some small things. When we're briefing, brief only information that is required for this mission. I don't care about the weekly weather. I want to know about what the weather looks like for when I'm going into for today and tonight, all right?
The biggest thing that changed was the time that you had to plan and then execute said mission was decreased significantly. So in mountains, you had multiple hours to do so. Now you might have an hour to conduct the same kind of mission, same complexity, but have to do it in half the allotted time.
We teach Ranger students in this phase to fight and win in a coastal swamp environment. We put them through what we mainly define as severely restricted terrain, and again, specific to here is coastal swamp. While maneuvering through swamps, which students will do twice in a phase, one at the Boiling Creek and once on the Weaver Creek, they're gonna move through, and they're gonna encounter a stream or a river that can't be just walked through. The best way to move men, weapons, and equipment with a light infantry dismounted platoon in that way is to build a one-rope bridge. The one-rope bridge helps them get all men, weapons, and equipment across the stream in a way that's both safe and time effective.
After those first 5 days, we are conducting an airborne operation into a 10-day field training exercise.
My mom, she'd always tell me jokes. When she was back in Mexico, she was like, she'd be walking to school and she'd see a snake and she'd just grab it by his head and twist it. All some crazy stuff. At first, I'm like, yo, cause I don't know, something wrong with my head. I actually got excited. I was like, yo, I'm gonna actually see a rattlesnake out here. I'm gonna see a black bear. I'm gonna see an alligator. I was like, wait till I see one of them. I'm gonna kill them. She's a real SA, and I just wanted to do the same, you know.
So I'm afraid of dinosaurs, so I'm not, that is a game over. Game over if an alligator's coming at me. Just gotta run faster than Coleman right here, and we'll be fine.
I actually turned 23 here in Florida Phase Ranger School on April 1st, and my mom sent me, I asked for a couple of photos, just like keep on me, and my mom is obsessed with pictures, ended up getting probably 300. So over the course of the past Techniques Week, I've just been kind of looking through them all and then picking out my favorite ones. Like this one, of my parents when they first moved to Huntsville, Alabama.
I tell my wife that I'm so sorry that I left her at this time, and I got a baby due in May, and left her with a 4-year-old at home, and she's been holding it down. She's been holding it down and doing such a great job with her, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, and I love you girls with all my heart, forever and always.
And then you have my brother. He's a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps over in Okinawa, Japan. He's actually a ground supply officer. And then you have these are the fun family photos.
Let's just say that I had a great example, superior officer in Finland, and he went through Ranger School in 2013. I started seeing a lot of leaders in my organization, and it's a really good way. I always see them come back, and they just established as a good leader. So it's kind of something I wanted to jump into and continue, especially to be a part of my organization. He told me stories about this and about what kind of leadership experience and what kind of friends you get down here. And so it was 3 years ago, and I just decided that if I ever got a chance to get to Ranger School, I will definitely go.
And then you have Zombieopoly, which is like Monopoly, but it's Plants vs. Zombies, I guess, is the theme. And this always ends up with me and my little sister actually fighting, and then my older brother breaking up the fight. But it's a fun photo because you see I'm actually winning in the picture, believe it or not. And then my dad's being goofy, and kind of reminds you of the stuff you're fighting for while you're out here just going through the grind and why you don't give up.
Today, the students are inserting via air assault, and that is to provide them with an element of surprise and speed as they go to hit their respective objectives.
We don't teach character in Ranger School. We expose these students to the conditions where their true character is exposed. And they're the ones that have to succeed in the environment that they have to lead in.
Being a good leader is also just being a good follower, supporting my other teammates when they're in a leadership position.
It gets to show you how you're going to act under pressure, how you're going to act when there's very little time to get it done, when you're hungry, when you're fatigued. That makes you a better overall soldier. It makes you a better overall leader. And basically it makes you the best American we can.
Shout out to my buddy Ranger Rowe for getting me the most lost that I've ever been in my entire life on a patrol as my alpha team leader. That was absolutely horrendous. Just kidding, buddy, I love you. But no, he was using a wrist compass to navigate us, no lensatic, and just every single thing that we had talked about and planned about a specific route that we needed him to take, it's like he went the exact opposite of everything that we said. No comms either, so every single time he went to the wrong direction, I had to sprint up to the front of the formation and make a correction. It was to the point where I think I gotta go on that patrol because the RI felt bad for what I was dealing with for the entire movement to the ORP.
The flat ground in Florida was simple. You either loved it or you hated it. The ones that weren't good at land nav hated it because it was impossible to find where you were on a map unless you were spot on with your azimuth and pace count. You really had to focus on the microterrain. And if you didn't utilize the microterrain while you were there, your ORP was direct line of sight with the objective. So you had to use those little berms or else you would have been compromised.
Right now, the platoon is being held to secure this east-west running road that they're about to cross, continuing north to their objective. So far, the platoon has already needed RI assistance to get them on track. They failed to create solid enough backstops around where they were being inserted and kind of lost where they were. They were off track by several hundred meters. We had to intervene, try to get them back on track and get them going back down their correct mission azimuth. So that's kind of where we're at right now. The movement up prior is challenging in the sense of not everybody in the platoon has worked together before. So as far as spacing, hand and arm movements, and some of their own standard operating procedures might not be well rehearsed at this point, being as it is their first day in the FTX.
Now you really have to be an adaptive leader, because the way that you had learned how to do it in the book, the way the Ranger Handbook told you how to do it, is not going to cut it anymore. Now you need to take all the lessons that you learned in Darby and Mountains and the things that the instructors had taught you from Florida. You need to put all those things together so that you can be successful in your operation. So that was really cool. It's like, that was the culminating event in my mind, was like being able to see not just myself, but my Ranger buddies be able to make really tactically sound decisions in situations that seemed impossible.
We expect them to lead their squads. They've been through 2 phases to this point. We expect them to understand what it takes to lead a patrol and successfully lead the men and women that they're with. That's a given. They're expected to do that in the first 2 phases. Here, we expect them to be a team. We throw challenges at them that are not on a checklist. We expect them to succeed given the conditions we set forth for them, and we want them to demonstrate the resilience to not go off a checklist, but to succeed because it's the right thing to do. Because if you can succeed as a team, together, you'll graduate here.
I wouldn't say that patrols are harder here. We don't make it harder than Mountains or Benning phase. I think the cumulative effect of everything they've been through does make it harder, but it is a little bit more hands-off when it comes to, just because of the nature, they're running faster here in Florida phase. So they've already got a lot of the classes from Mountains on patrolling on the patrol base. And so the RIs have to spend less time teaching those things and more time instructing and evaluating them as Ranger students. And so it's not necessarily harder. I would just say it's different. The Florida conditions are different than Mountains and Benning. And so it just presents different challenges. But the cumulative effect of Benning and Mountain phase does make it harder for Ranger students, because they've lost sometimes 30, 40, 50 pounds getting no sleep. So that does take an effect on a person's body.
Hey, Slim, I need you to push left a little bit to this tree. Hey, we're all gonna skip. Hey, where's that tree at? What's up? Up, push left. Taylor, Tanner, push up to the tree. Hey, you've been shot in the chest, right? Through. Turn to get on! Listen clear. I'm coming. I apologize.
Hey, send your EPW!
In Florida, the patrol base has definitely got a lot more complicated.
Every morning in Florida, you wake up and immediately you start digging your hole for the day. Whether you're in a 2-man fighting position, a 3-man, or you're in a weapon squad hole, or an apex. And depending on which one you're in, it can take anywhere from an hour to 2.5 hours to dig your entire hole. I actually enjoyed them. I didn't like the digging part, but if you actually built a good shelter, you were really enjoying your life for the next 4 or 5 hours that you were in the patrol base because you had shade, the ground was cool. In the weapon squad hole, we built little seats in. We made it large enough that everybody could sit down and kind of hang out. But actually getting there, I would definitely say it was worth taking the extra time to build a solid fighting position because you're gonna be spending so much time there.
For patrol base, the big thing you want to do first is make sure that you have your apexes pushed out first and you get your gun set in so that you know where your final protective lines are going to be so that you can build your legs off of that and get a solid security plan put in place and know where to put your individual fighting positions. That way you can interlock sectors of fire all the way around the patrol base. What we're looking for is individual fighting positions, and for the apexes where we're going to use the 240s for the gun positions to actually dig a proper T-gun position. We expect more from them here in Florida for patrol base, especially when it comes to like leader involvement. It's not the Darby phase, it's not mountain phase like here. We want to see what your actual leadership style is and see you be a leader. And the only way you're gonna be able to do that is treating it real. If you treat it real and not worry about how to check a box to get a go and what does the RI want to see for me to get a go, you're gonna miss stuff if you do that. You're gonna be too focused on a checklist instead of actually what would I do in this situation and what do I expect my soldiers to do in my platoon if I was in this situation. And if you do that, you won't miss little things. You'll just do those naturally.
It's like building off of mountains with more flexibility and more freedom.
It's definitely doable, but this is a marathon, not a sprint. Make sure you can serve yourself, but also make sure you look to the left and right. You're not gonna get your tab by yourself. Big thing, be a member of your squad, and you should get a go, hopefully. Hopefully I'll get a go today.
A lot of people come in here with their own SOPs and their own like critical thinking, and they go into Darby and now they have a checklist mentality. You get to Florida, that's absolutely not what they want to see.
You know, you're tired, you're cold, you're wet, hungry, constantly uncomfortable. And the best thing I can kind of relate it to is like, just it makes you appreciate the good things that you have in life.
It takes a little bit getting used to eating your first meal at 11 o'clock, and then your second meal at 02, anywhere between 02, 03. It takes some getting used to, but like once you're actually on the go and moving, you know, conducting missions all day long, you don't really think about it.
I would say the worst part is the mileage you do with wet boots and no means to air out your feet.
If you take care of your body from the very beginning, right? If you start taking care of your body during rap week, that's like working hands, putting on lotion, changing out your socks, like actually showering and like taking care of yourself, it will set yourself up for success through like Florida. We had guys in mountains whose feet started falling apart because in Darby they weren't doing the right thing. And it's like taking that like 30 seconds or a minute, as cold as it is or as wet it is, to actually like take your boots off, change your socks, put on lotion, and take care of your body. It'll pay out dividends in the end.
It's nice to have a rain block occasionally. Take what we can get sometimes.
The construction of the one-row bridge and the students' mastery of it is going to be critical for them, which is why we have a graded rehearsal daily by the RI. If there's any issues for students conducting it, it's a failure to do rehearsals. Every day, the person in charge of this is our security squad leader. If that security squad leader owns his leadership role and demands that his one-row bridge team conducts rehearsals daily, there is no difficulty to completing this. This is a very simple task. There should be no issues.
Florida was the toughest for me. Going through a bunch of swamps the whole time, but then actually going through a lot of dry land and a lot of sand and just trudging along that way through like low brush and different things along those lines. And then in my last like few days going through those 2 swamps and actually like seeing what a real swamp is as a Canadian, because I had never experienced anything like that before.
I love the Zodiacs. It was just fun. It was a different environment. You got to get people like on the boats rowing together. you got pinpointed, like you had to figure out where you were on a map, like while you're rowing, so that presented its own challenges, but it was very out of the ordinary, and that was awesome to me. I love that.
On our first boat movement, I was the coxswain, so I was basically the guy that was giving commands for specific sides to row and controlling the speeds and the direction of the boat. The thing is that when humans see things in front of them, they make a decision on their own and they panic. So I'm gonna stand idly by this statement and say that this wasn't my fault, but I know it probably was. And we ended up hitting a tree so hard it smacked me in my chest and I fell out the boat. And then the guy that pulled me back in that almost jumped in the water was like a legitimate weak swimmer, like did not know how to swim. He pulled me back in, got back in, and then we continued mission. So that was wild. I cannot believe that happened.
The northern part of the AO, where students are currently operating, they're surrounded by what we call severely restricted terrain. For them to move the amount of time that they're using this waterborne operation or this waterborne infiltration, it'd probably be a factor of 4 or 5 more time spent walking than using this mode of transportation. As far as mental toughness goes, this is just another mission task that Ranger students have to accomplish during their very limited window of time here. Instead of just sticking to dismounted patrolling, in this phase, they do airborne operations, they conduct air assaults and waterborne operations within the 14 days we have them.
It was muddy, you got soaked, and it was just awful terrain. People were tripping and falling over like the vines, under the water. And you would kind of look at them and laugh a little bit, then you would do the same thing. And you were completely soaking wet and you were muddy head to toe. It just sucked.
I fell every 10 seconds. And it was so frustrating to just fall and then just get back up again, just to fall again, just to trip again and just keep going. And it was funny at first, and then it slowly just became less and less funny as we kept going through the water.
You eventually get to a point where you go in and then all of a sudden you hit a hole and you're up to your neck and your rucksack's pushing you over, right? Felt really bad for the guys carrying machine guns because those guys just got torn down a lot, but.
It's like times like those, you start reflecting. It makes you think like, what's your purpose? Why are you really there? It's just that battle with yourself. Just can't quit. We did the first SWAT movement. I had a 249, so we weren't allowed to wear slings. So I just had to carry it one-handed, basically, just using one hand to hold on to trees, navigate. Our hand carried a 249. And that was a pretty bad movement, just because the whole time I just wanted to, someone offered to take the 249 off me. So I was like, it was tempting, like, hey, I don't need to do this. Dude already offered, he said he'd take it. But at the same time, I can't just quit like that. So I just sucked it up, ended up carrying it the entire rest of the movement, all the way to patrol base.
There were many moments that I would be walking through swamps and I knew I was giving it my 100%, and that wasn't gonna be enough, that I was gonna have to dig deeper and give more than I thought that I had in me.
When you're doing it, you're just trudging through, and you just have your rifle trying to keep it above water as well as your neck, especially because I'm a short guy. So I dip down and find a deep hole, and my head and everything is trying to stay above water. Instead of just staring down at my feet, trying to figure out how not to sink into this next hole in the swamp, and look up, be like, wow, this is super different. I'm following one of my squad mates, and I'm in a really weird, different situation that I know I'm gonna look back on and really appreciate.
We did have to stop at one point because the RI in front of us had seen about 4 snakes and was trying to kill them all before we walked through. And I'm not a huge fan of snakes. I can do spiders, I can deal with insects. I do not like snakes at all. So anytime we saw one, I was not thrilled. I definitely wanted to avoid it as much as possible.
Instead of just having 50 people attempt to swim across a river with heavy equipment, which would be wildly unsafe, we have them employ this method that they rehearse every single day. The one-rope bridge allows them to pull both men, weapons, and equipment across in a safe and timely manner.
Florida phase has the most high-risk training of all the phases. We are teaching them how to succeed and be resilient leaders in a different environment. You've got to be the leader that stands up and succeeds in the darkest and hardest times. That's what we're looking for in the Ranger leaders.
Let's go, Ranger. Stop leaning on the road.
Keep it up, Ranger. Let's go. Long strides. Pull.
This place exposes a person's true character, how they really are as a person, whether it be a teammate or in a leadership role. And so that's what I think of as Florida Phase, is a very good testing ground for your own character.
Lean back on your ruck.
Finally finished, and just like everything at Ranger School, it all ends. So it eventually ended, but I would say that was my least favorite movement I did at Ranger School.
Ranger, lean back on your ruck. Lean back. Left. Hey, get them, pick up the rate of fire. Adam! I want you to go singlet with the rate of fire.
The opposition force came in and attacked them from all sides, and the students reacted to that contact from within the patrol base. It is very rigid in the way that they conduct those patrol base operations and establish patrol bases, and that is there for a reason. It creates a solid foundation for them to build upon. So this morning, students are planning for their last mission of their field training exercise, moving on to Santa Rosa Island and conducting a raid.
Movement. This begins with departure from the patrol base.
Santa Rosa is the culminating exercise for Ranger School. It is an opportunity for the students to put it all together. The small unit tactics that they learn throughout all three phases. It's the resilience that they have learned through limited sleep, limited food. And it's the opportunity to embark on a mission across a sound onto a beachhead to assault a final objective. When all put together, it is such an amazing experience for them to see it all come together, to see all their efforts pay off on the last day of the field training exercise and see them succeed, given all the conditions we place them under and the resilience that they have put forth to that point.
Hey Rangers, how you doing tonight? Good deal, good deal. Hey, a couple hours left, Ranger. A couple hours left, okay? You can succeed tonight as a team, or you can fail as an individual. It is up to you. We want it for you. Tomorrow, you got all the deliciousness you can eat. Tomorrow, you get fat and happy, it's great. Tonight, you gotta finish strong. It is up to you. We want it for you, but it's up to you. How bad do you want it? All right. Good luck, Ranger. Good luck to you.
The Ranger students have to paddle from Windhaven all the way up to the island. It gets a little bit challenging due to the winds and the waves from the ocean.
It was very wavy. We were covered in water, completely soaked the entire way.
We were fighting the current, we were fighting the wake. So just trying to get from one side of the sound to the other was my main focus. I'm sure it was everybody else's as well. So I didn't look to my left and my right too often, but I'm sure there was a bunch of people watching, which is kind of cool.
You have to cross a bay, so you'll be paddling in a little rubber boat with the boys. You'll cross the bay, get out on land.
The students are excited because this is possibly the end of Ranger School for them, and there's a sense of urgency because some students know that they haven't done very well on their patrols thus far, and this is going to be their final opportunity to get a go.
So my look was at Santa Rosa. I was a squad leader in Santa Rosa. That was the final look, and it was my second look, and it turned out that my first look was a no-go. A bunch of the leadership kind of like didn't mesh on our first look. So I guess I was extremely fortunate to have that last look. I'm glad I got that second look.
Well, I remember getting off the boat and thinking to myself, like, wow, this looks like a completely different planet.
Once they get to the island, they're not used to having, vegetation is more open. Now they have to use the sand as a defilade, help them cover their movements. It pretty much lets us know if they're thinking tactical, not just, the same thing that they've been doing this whole class.
Usually these objectives are hit during the nighttime, and they're very large objectives. So sometimes students attack the objectives from the wrong way or do a poor recon, which ultimately leads to their failure. But when students get enough time and they actually conduct a good recon of the objective and use their time properly and use the techniques they were taught throughout Ranger School, it ends up going in their favor, and it turns out to be a very good day on Santa Rosa Island.
You're earning everyone else's tab and everyone else is earning yours. So that's the key to success here, right? Is teamwork and selflessness. And those are the two things that are going to go away the quickest when you start introducing things like sleep deprivation as well as malnutrition. And it's all by design. It's no secret that they're introducing these things in an effort to try to get you to not be able to do those. But if you can keep your teamwork and you can be selfless and you do give 100% for your team and you do live by the creed, especially that third stanza, then there's no doubt in my mind that you're not going to have any problems with everyone in your platoon moving forward.
We weren't able to hit the objective during daylight. We ended up going to lightning lockdown because of the weather, and everything kind of stagnated from there. We essentially had a 30-minute window from the weather to go hit the objective, so we just ran out in a file. I was an assault squad leader, so I got my guys online, and then as soon as the machine guns started shooting, we just pushed up onto the objective.
Hey, get down! 5 seconds left! Down! Right here! On me! Take 2, clear that. Around the corner.
Cleared a Humvee, passed through a couple buildings, and then we established our LOA. It was a lot more chaotic because we only had that 30-minute window, so instead of doing a little more deliberate, step-by-step, follow the plan kind of thing, it was just, hey, this is the end goal we want, so everyone follow me, and then we're gonna make it look like that on the way. It was definitely chaotic. It was a lot of fun though. Like I was saying, one of the coolest memories was just running straight towards the objective in the middle of the night, wearing our nods, everyone's like in a file, and we're just taking off towards the objective. But I mean, at the end of the day, we cleared the objective, took casualty, set the CCP, and then we got out of there.
Santa Rosa itself went pretty good. I think everybody got to go that was in leadership that day, so good way to end. After Santa Rosa, once you got on the bus and you got shipped back to Eglin, everybody was racked out on the bus. We were just trying to get sleep. We got back at like 2300, something like that. It was pitch black. We were trying to turn in equipment, get piers done. I didn't really think it was on many people's minds that night. People just really wanted to rack out. But the following morning, everybody was extremely stressed, you could tell, waiting to hear the results.
To a tan, son.
Your first look as Assault 2 squad leader, you received a no-go. Your second look as Assault 1 squad leader, you received a go. At the time, you were recommended for graduation. Do you have any questions?
This was actually the worst part of Ranger School for me. When we were all waiting for our goes, they pulled me and one other guy aside and took us to like where the no-goes were being staged, and then they'd like call someone in and they'd do their interview, and then the dude would walk by us, and be like, I just got peered, and that's it. They just walk by and like go like cry over there. So all these people, it's just like next, and then he's gone, next he's gone, next he's gone. It's like getting closer and closer to me. And then the platoon, I thought to myself, I'm like, man, maybe it's just like, maybe I'm getting like honor grad or something. I was really reaching. I was like, man, because I don't think I go to any patrols. I was like, maybe that's what's going on. I was like trying to just make sense of any of it. And then the platoon started the Ranger Creed without me.
The Ranger Creed! The Ranger Creed!
I was like, I'm screwed. There's no way. I was like, I just failed. I really can't believe this. And then as soon as they finished the Ranger Creed, then the RIs came up to me and the other guy. They're like, Rangers, what are you doing over here? Like, you told us to come over here, sorry. Like, no, we're just messing with you guys. We do this every cycle. Go regain your platoon. That was a tough one, not cool.
I finally went up to the table and he started giving me the spiel. Like, here, this is what you're good at. Like, here are your 3 things. In my mind, I'm like, get to the point, let's go. Finally, he's like, yeah, in your first mission, you were a go. In your second mission, you were a go. And I'm like, all right, I'll take it. Then I got my peers, was pretty happy. And everybody starts cheering. They were supposed to all be quiet, like my squad and stuff like that, but everybody starts yelling Canada and crap. Okay, thanks, guys. It was something I'll remember my whole life, for sure. It's pretty great.
It took me a second to realize that he just said, all right, your second look was a go. Congratulations, you met the criteria for graduating Florida Phase and Ranger School. Please sign here, go away. I was like, okay, here's my signature, go. Like, real quick, do an about face and go. And I was just trying to like hold my smile in, but you know, it didn't really work.
We just were kind of running up, hugging each other, giving each other high fives, and just celebrating with a lot of people in the platoon that I'd been with since Darby. So that was really, really awesome.
Lord, we thank you for these Ranger students. We thank you for these graduates. We thank you for the family that's here. For without the family and friends supporting and loving, this couldn't be possible. And Father, I pray for these warfighters as they continue to move forward. Yes, they have graduated, they are qualified. Give them the strength and the discipline to maintain that which they have achieved. And Father, one day we may be called to spill our blood on the battlefield. Every generation must put a down payment to finance freedom. Give us strength and courage to do such.
The demonstration you're about to see will showcase some of the techniques that we utilize to train both Ranger students and reconnaissance and surveillance students here at the Airborne Ranger Training Brigade.
The Ranger course is realistic, rugged, and hazardous. The Ranger students are taxed both physically and mentally during their 9 weeks of training. The purpose of the Ranger course is to develop leadership capabilities, competence, confidence, and combat functional skills.
Extensive demolitions training enables the Rangers to attack and destroy a wide variety of objectives.
In summary, we feel that the Ranger course is the highest level of combat preparedness that the United States Army has to offer today.
For the 189 Rangers standing before you, this is considered as the most transformative day in their lives. They now possess the most physically, mentally, and emotionally demanding experience they will likely ever encounter in their Army career outside of combat. To the graduates of Class 522, your journey of consistent, demonstrated excellence starts today. Wearing the tab, more importantly, living the creed, will be the reason you take pride in and give 100% and then some to everything you do. Internally motivate yourself. Exercise humility and coachability to reach your maximum potential. Always put the needs of your team above your own and honor the legacy of those before you. When your sense of purpose wanes, recite your Ranger Creed as you have done every day here to get back on track. If not for yourself, for the many you represent. Trust yourself, trust your training, and stay ready to make hard calls. Class 0522, I am proud of you, and I have the utmost confidence you will live your creed, take the road less traveled, and always do what's right and necessary. You've earned this day, but the next will be harder. As Colonel Puckett would say, be proud, but never satisfied. Remain hungry and humble, and lead well. Rangers lead the way.
Ever since he was just a kid, he's always done whatever he Whatever was hard, that was him.
He's off the radar. I had a calendar. I was marking off the days, watching the different phases.
So proud of him.
Has always done a tryout his whole life. He's always been grinding, and he's got a lot of grit, and that's what got him through it.
I knew he wanted to go to Ranger School. I was like, you have to go now before little Miss is born. So I was like, you need to do it now. Get it over with.
His wife's gonna have a baby here in a couple days, so we're kind of cutting it close as far as getting it home.
It's just a weird feeling, just especially being stuck in Florida for so long. It hasn't hit yet.
Yeah, it's pretty real. I think after you pulled the cap on me, that's when it kind of finally started to sink in. So it's really exciting.
Now that it's on the shoulder, I think he finally hit me down there at Big Two. Go get some food.
Yeah, we took you on the pass yesterday. We took you about, he probably put down 5,000 calories yesterday.
Probably just rest for me, honestly. Everybody else's plan is hopefully watch me rest and not bother me.
Whenever he wants.
Yeah,
pretty much. 100%.
He didn't sleep.
Yeah, earned it.
Yeah.
So good. Feels so good for him to be back and finally done. It took so long, but I knew he could do it. I knew he could do it.
My husband was over the moon. I know he wanted to talk about our experiences, like asking me, what was your favorite phase? What was the worst phase? So I'm really excited to talk to him about like his favorite things and kind of share stories with him.
So I got into a small college in New York, West Point. So that's where I'll be going after this. After I graduate, I'll have about a week before I start. So that'll be a fun turnaround.
Remain disciplined the entire time. It's gonna suck. Just know what to do at all times. Do the right thing, even when nobody's watching, and everything comes to an end, I promise you.
I'm very motivated by my wife. She's been my ride or die. She's also the one that will get me in trouble, and the first person to pull me out of it. Being a father is the #1 accomplishment that I've ever had. I don't think there's anything that I ever do in my life that's even going to come close to the amount of joy that brings to me.
The main reason why I was here was for coming back to Canada with actually a new idea, new perspective on what it means to be a leader and how to actually be a better leader for the guys that I'm working with and for.
There's conflicts all the time, and this school is like a small microcosm of the real world, so just try harder. But as we were told, yeah, you're gonna be a drop, you go collect your stuff. I dump out some things for them, things that they're gonna need more than me. I leave it on his bed and say, hey, good luck, and then go sit on my bags.